God, we come before you today, and I pray that you view this time that we have. I thank you for the fact that we can play a game where everyone just runs as fast as they can into each other, and we call it a Christian group. I pray that you would just be with this time that we have, guide the conversation, guide the fun, guide small group. In your name, amen. All right, I need someone or some people that are... I didn't even say anything yet. I need someone that thinks that they are multilingual. That means that if you don't know what it means, you probably shouldn't raise your hand. But it means that you can understand multiple languages, you can speak multiple languages. All right, Evan, come on up here. Evan, come on up. Give me a couple more volunteers. Okay, Rex, just stand right down here. Stay right down here. All right. Alan, come on over. Jane, come on over. And Nathan. Okay, stand the front, just off to the side. Just off to the side. All right, this is what's going to happen. I am going to do, guys, quiet. I am going to do my best to pronounce a word, but I do have the word on the screen, so if I say it wrong, you can't be like, well, you mispronounced it. All right. Aiden, even though it's one slide, it is just, you just hit the button, okay. So Evan raised his hand first. Evan, would you please stand in the center right over there? Aiden's going to bring up the word, I'm going to say it, and I need you to tell me what your best definition of the word is, all right? All right, Aiden, the first one I believe should be turtle. Turtle.
It's a turtle with an A.
It's a turtle with an A. What about the extra E?
Okay. No.
Okay, good. I'm glad you got to look at that. Turtle, is that your answer? It's a turtle?
No.
Okay.
So I think it's like a mistake. Like it sounds like a... It just sounds like a mistake. A funny word for a mistake.
Okay. How many of you guys think that sounds pretty accurate? That could be. I didn't write down the languages. There are multiple languages. All right. This is what the word actually means. The word, rough translation, is it is that panicky or hesitant moment you have when you go to introduce someone and you forget their name. Have you ever been there? Where you're like,
every time. Technically, I got it right because it's a mistake.
Sit down, thank you. All right, so next time you go to do that, you'll be like, oh, turtle. All right, Bella, come on up.
I know. I was retarded.
All right, next one, Aiden. I believe it's pronounced Kumar Speck. What does Kumar Speck mean?
Can I have the root like that?
It is a German word. I don't think it's pronounced like that.
Can I have a use for a second?
To paint. How many guys think to paint sounds close? Okay, Nathan does. You have one person in the corner. Actually, this is the word they use in German, or what they call the excess weight you gain from emotional overeating. Yes. So when you overeat because of your emotions and you gain weight, that's all right.
Kumar Speck issues.
All right. Come on up, Rex. Aiden. We'll say it's Palinti. Yes.
Panini. Josh, can I have a root?
What was that?
What's the root?
I don't know what the root is. I have words in okay, Rex is saying some type of sandwich. I guess it's close. It does have to do with food. Who here has ever taken a bite of like pizza when it's piping hot and it burns your tongue until you go, and you kind of like move it around your mouth? That is Palinti.
What if I said that exactly?
That would be amazing. All right, sit down. Here we go, Jade. Men's Kulek.
Oh, I know that one.
What?
Oh, Evan, you know this one?
Yeah, it sounds like melancholy.
Yeah, no. All right, what do you think it is? Mental.
Italian.
I guess it kind of has to do with being mental. All right, guys. It is the phantom sensation when you are walking through the woods late at night and you feel something crawl across your skin.
Yes.
That is what that is. All right. And last but not least, thank you, Jay. Last but not least,
So,
Aiden.
Halichi is from God.
That's I don't know. Oh, I apologize. This is actually the phantom one. The melancholic was. Who here's ever done that? Where you tap on someone's opposite shoulder to get them to look one way? That's melancholic. These are. All right, guys. That is not an excuse to bug the strong out of each other. Gary.
No, guys, prepare.
I'm tired.
All right. All right. These are words that are in other languages that we don't actually have a word to translate it for. That's why we actually have to use sentences to translate what the full word is. And that is along the lines of what we're going to be talking about tonight. One of, not those words, but a word that we don't actually have a translation for. But we are in a series. This is actually the very end of the series. The very end of the series, and it's called The Haves and the Have-Nots. Because who here has ever seen something that someone else has and you're like, I want that?
Yes.
Who here right now, you know you deserve or want a better cell phone? Who here, you're like, I need a cell phone, period? Who here had a nice cell phone and then they played basketball and broke it? Yes. We see something, we want it. Hey guys. You see something, you want it, and so we're always filled with these, I don't have it, but I want it. And what this series is all about, realizing the things that you actually have that you don't ever acknowledge, or the blessings that you have that you don't even realize. I need a volunteer who's really strong that doesn't mind helping me do something.
I got you, Dustin.
For a bit.
I got you, Dustin.
Dylan, come on up here.
What are you talking about?
Dylan, I'm going to need you to stand out right down there. Okay, you're going to stand out, face the audience, and I'm going to need you to put your hands up like that. Okay, there you go. But don't move them, just leave them. Okay.
Ooh, that's so
Shh.
Oh
So to
my
give you
God,
guys,
we do that for baseball.
hey guys.
Yes, sorry, Josh.
To give you guys a recap of what we've talked about, some of the things that we have that we don't fully realize is we talked about this just a few weeks ago. The first one is you have a past. Some of us, our past is messy. Some of us, our past is crazy. But we have a past. You are not defined by your past, but your past is actually part of your story. And so many times we hate our past so much we forget about it. But God wants to use it. Then, a few weeks ago, we talked about how you don't only have a past, you have a today. God has you where you are for a reason. He has you around the people you are at now for a reason. Last week, we talked about one of the biggest stresses that a lot of you guys have. You have a future. There are things that God has plans for you and all that kind of stuff, but that is your future. Which means today, we are talking about... Today we're talking about how we have a family. Now, who would say you love your family but you hate them?
No.
Who here would have a handful of complaints? At this point, we could ask them anything. Who here does not shower?
Well, you
All right. Who here has a crush on Scarlet Witch? Oh, you put your hand down.
Wait, Scarlet Witch or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlet Witch.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson would be fun.
All right, guys, focus. See, here's the thing. A lot of us we love our family, but we have different complaints with our family. For some of you guys, your family is a source of happiness. For some of you guys, your family is a source of like strife and contention. How many of you guys have ever had it, even if you have the best family, you get home from school, from like an awesome weekend, from hanging out with friends, from going to church or youth group here or whatever, and you get home and the minute you walk through the door, you're just like, oh.
Yes.
And you just, you feel so off.
Especially when you go to.
We have been talking about a guy in the Bible, his name is Moses. And Moses had this crazy life. Moses had a crazy past. Moses was used by God. Moses was abandoned by family, not completely by their choice. Moses was adopted. Moses had some anger issues. Moses had a lot of stuff going on. And where we left off, the Israelites are going through the wilderness. And at this point, they're being attacked by a country called, or a group of people called the Amalekites. And it's in Exodus 17. And it says this: the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Redem. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of your men to go and fight, to go out and to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of a hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. How are you feeling right now? Oh, no, see, you have your hands together. They're supposed to be separate.
No, you're allowed to keep
Separate.
them together.
Yeah, you're losing. No, just up like that, but not. No, not together. Are my hands together? No, they are apart. Yes.
In the story, he had two people holding his hands up.
Yes, at some point.
Okay, can you go up and hold his hands?
No, not yet.
Oh my God.
Who here has ever done that where you just like hold your hands up for a while?
Nope.
Who here, like after a while, it kills you. It feels like, so this battle did not happen like in 20 seconds. This battle is going on for hours. This battle is going on forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to test this out. No touching. Dylan's going to hold his hands up like that for... What time do your parents normally come and pick you up?
9:30.
Okay, so until about 9:30.
Tomorrow.
But as long as he had his hands up, they were winning. And this battle went on for hours. It was not a quick thing. And it was one of those things that every time Moses started to get tired and his hands started to come down, all of a sudden Israelites are being killed and they started to be, yes.
If he held his hands up for a long enough time without dropping, wouldn't all the Amalekites?
Amalekites?
Yeah, wouldn't they all be dead?
Yes,
Like-
but it was quite a prolonged battle. And one of the things that if you guys understand anything about the Israelites, when we hear battles and stuff, we think, oh wow, these guys are going out with like sword, shield, all that kind of. They were slaves that were set free from Egypt. They had maybe pitchforks. They did not have an armory. So when they do these wars, it's a lot of slings, sticks, stones, things like that. So this is not just like an easy like, I stabbed him, he's dead. It is prolonged for a long time. Then it continues, and it says this. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. How are your arms feeling right now?
Hurts right there.
It hurts right where?
And the rotator cuff.
I don't know where you're pointing to.
In his rotator.
No, you're disgusting. You didn't shower, so. All right, you can go sit down. All right.
You're allowed to lose inside.
I'm not texting.
We all have different experiences with our family. Without going into details, let me ask you guys this: who here has a family that overall you were pretty happy with? Who here would say you have a family that sometimes causes you some pain, hurt, craziness, psychoticness? Yeah. Here's the thing though. Hey guys, Charles. We all need a family. And when I talk about family, I'm not talking about that strictly like nuclear family, like a mom, dad, 2 kids, and a dog. But in this story, Moses had a family that helped him out. Who is his family?
Aaron and Hur.
Aaron and her.
Aaron and Hur. Was Aaron related to him?
Yes.
For those that know the story.
Yes.
Yes, that was his brother. Was her related to him? No. There was no relation. Here's the thing. Moses had a community of people. Moses had a community of people who helped him out. I'm going to teach you guys a word. This word has, it's like a 40-second clip. It's a very simple, it's used for other stuff, so when you're watching it, don't be like, wow, this is really boring. But it explains the word that I'm going to use. The word is called Ubuntu. Has anyone ever heard of the word Ubuntu?
I think that's some sort of like
All right.
TV thing.
No, it's actually, it originated from South Africa. And here's the quick video. Aiden, can you turn it
An
on?
anthropologist proposed a game to the children of an African tribe. He put a basket of ripe fruit near a tree and told the children, the one who gets there first, the winner, will get all of that. At the signal, all the children rushed together to the tree, but with hands joined. Then they sat down together to enjoy their reward. When the anthropologist asked why they had run in this way, when one of them could have had all the fruit to themselves, they said, Ubuntu. How can one of us be happy if everyone else is sad?
All right. So the rough translation is one of those words that we don't have an actual word translation for. The rough translation is, I am because we are. Basically, here's the thing, guys. We cannot do life alone. Whether you realize it or not, whether you think you are the biggest loner in the world, we need each other. This word, Ubuntu, basically it embodies this idea of sharing or compassion. How many of you guys would say nowadays you could see someone broken down on the side of the road and for the most part no one's going to stop to help the person? You could be bawling your eyes out on the side of the street and everyone just walks by you. Because we've lost this idea of empathy, of caring for someone. When we see someone hurt, not actually going out of your way for them. I mean, just to kind of, not that I aimed for this, and I realized it was a game, it was competitive, but even in the game that we played here, granted it was dark, but who was it? Emmy, were you the one that was like, my nose?
Yeah.
Was that you? And Emmy like left the circle and she's like, oh, my nose is going to hit pretty bad. And it was a competition, but no one was like, are you okay? No one stepped away. They were just kind of like, ha, let's people. And you bring the chairs in closer. Who's next? And it's this whole idea that in the game that we played today, the point was, even though you guys, some of you guys have the same number, even though you guys were all together, the point of the game, and I realize competition is all about being the winner. But even when I ended the game, some of you were like, no, there can only be one. What? And the point was that you guys are playing a game where you guys were all out for yourself, and that was it. Whereas this word, Ubuntu, the idea behind it is, I am not good if you are not good. Or we care for each other. Where it's more than just thinking about ourselves, but we look to others. Another way of looking at it is, I become more of who I am supposed to be when I walk through life with another person. Meaning this, how many of you guys would say you have certain friends or people in your life that as you hung out with them, you discovered certain things about them? Like, who here realized, not on your own, but through talking to people, wow, I'm pretty funny? Anyone? Who here realized, like before you were like, oh, I'm really funny, then you hung out with friends and realized, I am not funny. They do not find these jokes funny. Who realized after sometimes giving information, you're like, wow, these people think I'm smart? Anyone here? Okay. Okay. I had like 2 hands there. It's okay, it's good to know that some of you guys are smart. How many of you guys, after giving advice and watching those people crash and burn, realize, I should not be giving advice?
Lola!
Here's the thing. This word, basically the meaning behind it is, when you have those friendships, yes.
I just want to say, like, the way that whole little thing was pretty messed up. Like, your kids, only one of you gets it.
Yes. I don't know why they did it. I don't know. But the point was they all looked out for each other, and in the same way, we have each other, and that helps us to be able to grow. No one likes to feel alone. Now, there's a difference between feeling alone and being alone. Can anyone tell me an example of feeling alone? Jake.
Hashtag emptiness.
Emptiness? Okay.
Because you feel them, but just feel like
Okay, shh. Ava's talking, yes.
you kind of just feel them, but you're not alone.
Okay, so you feel alone, but you're not really alone. Lola?
Like that really that really sad feeling of like you're in the middle of a huge group of people, but at the same time you still feel alone, like separate.
Who here has ever been part of this circle and they were all talking about something that you had no clue about and it felt like everyone was talking around you? Like you were there, but no one, they're not even making eye contact or whatever. See, you can be surrounded by friends and still feel alone. No one walks into like a party and is like, huh, I hope no one talks to me. Or no one walks into even here at Epic and goes, I hope I sit off to the side by myself and never talk to anyone. No one wants to be alone. Even the most like thick person that is just like, I don't need anyone, doesn't go to some place and say, I hope no one talks to me. Because if that's the case, why bother going to a place around other people? No matter what we say, everyone inside wants to be part of something. They want to be cared for. They want to feel needed. It's the reason we have teams and clubs and different things like that, because we want to feel needed. We want to belong. Because the truth is, deep down inside, you were created for connection. And our connections help shape ourselves and others. But the truth is, I think that's why a lot of people feel lost. How many of you guys have found, like, even if you have hundreds of followers on Instagram, sometimes you feel like your pool of friends is like 2 or 3 people? Even if you get hundreds or thousands of likes, who here has ever gotten a like from someone and you're like, this person doesn't even talk to me? Like, I love it when people like my stuff and then I see them in church and they never even acknowledge me. I'm like, well, why bother? Because the truth is, even though we're connected, we aren't really connected. And it's why so many people feel lost. We all have different people, mentors, friends, teachers, parents, siblings, or even places like here where we should be considered part of a family. 1 Corinthians 12 puts it this way. Yes, the body has many different parts, not just one part. If the foot says, I'm not a part of the body because I'm not a hand, that does not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ears say, I'm not part of the body because I'm not an eye, would that make it any less a part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? But our bodies have many parts. God has put each part just where He wants it. How strange a body would be if it only had one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. And the head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. This makes for harmony among the members, so that all members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. Don't go to the next one yet. Who here has ever gotten hurt on your leg and you feel it all throughout your body? Who here has ever gotten hurt and you just felt like you didn't want to do anything? You might have a headache and yet it shuts down your whole body. Because your whole body, if one part suffers, all suffer. And here's the thing. Next slide. Continuing with 1 Corinthians 12, it says this. All of you together are Christ's body, or the church body. And each of you is a part of it, meaning this. He gives that whole analogy of the different body parts. And the truth is, I mean, if you look around, there's not a single person, even if you're a twin, you guys don't look exactly alike. You don't act exactly alike. Who here would say, well, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but some of you guys in this room, you are such critical thinkers. Like, you can look at a problem and dissect it without an issue. There are some people like me that I don't always do that. Some of you guys are so creative. You can look at something and then create it with pencils, with paint, with, on the computer or whatever. Copy paste. There are some of you guys that are amazing. Like, you can put a basketball in your hand and you're not going to miss most of the shots. You're going to put someone like Evan near the hoop and he'll make it every time. And then there's me, who I can be like a foot away from it in the same height of it, and I still get hit in the face with it. Every one of us has different gifts. We are all unique and we are all different, and we were designed to be different because we are all part of one body. And when you decide to follow Jesus, you are part of that body, and there is a reason for you, and you are used in a good way. Everyone has different parts, and just because you're not like the most creative person doesn't mean you don't have your own talents. Each believer has a place and a purpose, and we are a family, because the truth is we belong together. And this is, if you've ever been to Epic, if you are at Epic long enough, you will hear me say this over and over, because I grew up in a youth group where I could see the cliques and different things like that. Youth group I grew up in had about 70 or 80 kids. I've worked for different youth ministries. I've worked for youth ministries with like 5 kids. I've worked for youth ministries with like 45, 55, 65 kids. I've worked at this youth ministry where we have anywhere between 30 and 60 kids each week. The point is this: there are always going to be those times where you come and you do want to hang out with your friends and stuff. But the one thing that I go over and over about is when people walk into this building, for the most part, people don't want to know who God is right away. They want to know who you are. And if someone new comes in and no one cares about that person, no one talks to that person, no one goes out of the way because we're so focused on our friends, then why would that person ever want to be a part of our family? Because they don't feel accepted and they don't feel loved. And yet in this verse, Paul was saying God is all about the fact that each person is needed and needs to be loved. We belong together. And part of the reason why we belong together is this. Number one.
Aiden.
Number one. There you, oh, no, Aiden, you did too. Okay, number one. Together we can be part of God's plan to restore hope to the broken. Here's the one thing that I've learned over and over. Who here, you're the type of person you want to walk to the side of the street and be like, Jesus loves you!
I would do that.
Okay, some of you guys would. That is not me. When I was in college, I was hanging out with a group of people, and they wanted to go. I didn't realize this until I drove out with them, and I won't go into detail, but they decided they wanted to go to a strip club. As we're driving out, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to a strip club," and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And this is like a Christian college, and they pulled off on the side of the road, sidewalk off to the side of the strip club. And as people were walking in, they'd be like, Jesus loves you, but he hates what you're doing. You're going to hell. And I was just like, oh, gosh, I wish I had my car so I could drive away. And I just kind of sat on the sidewalk going, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Because, to be honest, for the most part, no one is going to look at that and be like, oh, I want what they have. Because what matters is the relationship. And what I mean by be part of God's plan to restore hope, it doesn't mean screaming out things about God. It means first and foremost developing that relationship. You guys can be all the best Christians in the world, and if someone comes in and we don't show them love, we don't show them acceptance, we don't care for them, they've never really seen God here in us, because God is all about loving them. When we have new kids come in here, if we aren't showing them kindness and love, then we're not really showing them God. And so it's not about going out there and screaming. I had a student ask me before, they're like, well, every time you say that, I feel like I gotta go up to people and be like, do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus? But it really starts with having a good relationship with the person. And the second thing is this. You're fired. Next. There you go. Number 2, together we can be a part of God's plan and care for one another. Here's the thing. I've worked with teenagers for a long time. It's really cool. I got to watch. I used to be a long time ago. I was a children's pastor, and I had this one student. His name was David Steele. He was a pastor's kid, and he hated being a pastor's kid. He hated growing up in a pastor's home and everything like that. And I got to work with him, and then I started helping with youth ministry there as well. And I got to work with him a lot. And then what's really cool is just earlier this week, I got to watch him as he's an executive pastor of a church out in Florida preach just an amazing message. And what was so cool about it was God allowed me for a little bit of time to be in his life to help show him love, encouragement. I didn't say he was going to be a pastor or anything like that. I didn't say or pray anything big on him. I was just there to encourage him and help him. And look what he's become. I didn't do it all. I was just there. And in the same way, You don't know who the people around you, who in your school, the people who come to Epic, you don't know what they are going to become, but the truth is God has put you there to show love to them. God has put you there to help them. God has put you there to encourage them. Who here had a bad week so far? Now, we're not going to go into detail with this, but how many of you guys, and I want you to be honest, who here, you had a bad week, you came in here, and you still don't feel that encouraged? You still feel pretty rough. I'm not saying we need to walk around to people and be like, how you doing? Praise the Lord, glory, hallelujah, all that. But the truth is, shouldn't this be a place where we encourage each other? I don't always do the best with it, but it's why when I see you guys come in, I try to go over and say hi, give you guys a high five, and say your name. Because last week I forgot Rex's name and I felt really, really bad.
Oh my god.
I know.
You're like, I forgot.
I know.
For the
I did.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I don't know because he has such a cool name. But I do that because I want people to feel accepted and to feel wanted.
You're like,
If
I forgot
every
Rex's
week
name.
Evan came out here, because Evan, this is your second week back in a while. If Evan came back in his first week back, I was like, have I seen you before? He'd be like, well, you don't remember me? 3 weeks later, if I'm still like, I don't know his name, you wouldn't feel like I cared about you all that much. We are here to encourage each other, to lift each other up, to help each other become the best person that we can be. But part of that is this whole idea of the word Ubuntu, where too many times we're so focused on ourselves and our immediate friend group that we don't realize that we were created for each other as well. So the question as you guys go to your small group is this: do you have a family? Are you part of a family? And do you allow God's family, the church, to be part of your